correct in Franklin, and cleanliness is not one of them, obviously. But we do need to look at other ways of processing animals through, and you still, to this day, hear people call Franklin the pound, and that's the old regressive way of thinking it. A pound was when we said animal control. Animals don't need to be controlled. The people that own them and then abandon them are the ones that need
Right.
not just control, but they need the education.
Right, and
so,
help.
right. So
Which-
that's all a part of it. And I reached out to several people after I read the book that were specifically mentioned from the sites. And I learned one thing that I did pass along to Miss Jessica about a way that we might be able to open up more dog kennel space at our shelter by, I forget what the correct legal term is, but it's basically a form that you have to file with the judge. Like, let's say somebody is arrested and their 10 animals are confiscated because of cruelty allegations or whatever.
Right.
Normally, those dogs sit there, and we know how court cases drag on and on.
That
But
clogs the shelter, yes.
right, and that takes up space for dogs that really need it for the immediate. So anyway, there is a process that I found out that Craven County uses, and the director, well, she's the shelter manager, I think, but she's basically the director that I talked to was very nice. And I mean, we had this conversation, and I wasn't even asking, it just came up in conversation. And I was like, this could be a solution, and I passed it on to Jessica. And, you know, of course, it would have to go through our attorneys and make sure that everything is,
Right.
but it could be a way to help alleviate some of the
But
clogged.
that's right, and that's not contained in that, but that's something I thought of too, is
Mhm.
what we don't see is, oh, you've got 10 bite dogs, like you mentioned, they have to sit there for 10 days for the rabies thing, okay, there's
Right.
that. But these court cases,
And-
and this is fairly common, and they have to sit there as evidence, there should be a way to take pictures of them and then release them for adoption or
Well, and this
something.
process is basically the judge asks the defendant, this is what the shelter will charge you for housing this number of animals for a month's time, let's say.
Right.
And they say, you know, are you willing to pay this because you either pay this or your other option is surrender them now.
Right.
And, you know, if they choose to pay it, fine, but then the minute that they miss a payment, they get surrendered anyway.
Okay.
But if they are surrendered up front, that means they can come out of the back
Right.
and be seen by potential adopters and get moved through, and, you know, and it really would open up some space.
It really would.
But, I mean, like I said, it was making a connection with somebody that was mentioned in the book, and then having, like, we probably were on the phone for an hour, and I found out a lot of information, and I've done the same thing with a couple of other people, and they have good ideas, and there are lots of places that have much less budget than we do, and much less manpower than we do, and they move a greater number of dogs. They, you know, they're not killing dogs for space, they're not, you know,
Right.
those kinds of issues. I also, while I'm thinking about it, I did mention Jessica, but I wanted to say that I appreciate everything that you have done in working on stuff for the shelter. And it's, you know, it's not gone unnoticed, and we do appreciate everything that you've done.
Very minor, but yeah, anything I can do, and going forward, when you start to get, you know, like I told Jerry,
Miss
let
Sam,
let
can
me
we
do the
let
grunt
her
work.
finish?
Yeah,
And then-
sorry.
It's okay. So, anyway, you know, I think the commissioners and everybody is tired of seeing us at commissioners' meetings. We're tired of coming to commissioners' meetings. You know, there's been finger pointing and name calling and all of that kind of stuff. But guess what? That doesn't change anything. You know, we can all get frustrated. I'm sure the shelter staff gets frustrated. Everybody gets frustrated. And it's very easy to get up here and yell and point fingers. And I've been guilty of it myself, because sometimes you just feel like you just have to vent. But in the end, it doesn't solve any issues. And so the only way that we're gonna solve the issues is if we keep the emotions out of it and we look at these different problems and break them down. Some of them have simple solutions, some of them may have more complex solutions. I know you mentioned spay and neuter. One of the things that I think we really need to have as a county, especially with our growth and the land that the county already owns, and maybe even a facility the county already owns, there should be a county-wide spay and neuter center that focuses on low-cost, high-volume spay and neuter for the shelter animals and for the public animals. And they should also obviously have, you know, the recommended vaccinations available and lower cost monthly medications for your heartworm and flea and tick protection and all of that stuff. Now, I know that's not something that we can press a button and the doors will open tomorrow, but it's one of the things we need to talk about because we're using different vets throughout the county and I'm sure they have different prices. And, you know, if we could get it kind of standardized and in-house, that's gonna save a lot right there because then we can make sure that every single animal that goes out of the shelter is already fixed.
Ms. Duncan,
Right.
I'm gonna ask you to wrap it up.
Okay. I didn't know I was being timed, I'm sorry.
Well, I like to give everybody enough time if they got something to say.
Okay.
Anybody
Well,
else?
I would just, encourage everyone to go ahead and look at the website that is called Who Will Let the Dogs Out, read some of their stories. Jessica, I don't know if I told you, but the shelter, any shelter or rescue can go on their website and message them and get a free copy of the book. And it's like maybe 120 pages or something, very inspiring, very educational, and, I would just like to see, you know, some of us get together on different things like that. And then I just have a couple of other questions, Mr. Jones. Do we have any kind of date yet about like SOPs? Has that been finalized yet, or does that still have to go before the commissioners?
I know it's still being worked on, but to answer your question, I don't know of a date yet, but it is in the process of being done.
Okay, and,
Ms. Duncan, what are you referring back to? Yes, what?
standard operating procedures.
Oh, that's what.
Yeah, I'm
You
sorry.
Make sure.
One of the issues that's been brought up for a long time is that there really wasn't consistency with how things were done. And, that really needs to be, you know, paramount so that nothing gets missed as far as vaccinations, vetting, you know, any kind of procedure like that. And then also, I guess my next question, I know Amber has just come on board. Same question, I mean, how close are we to actually instituting a volunteer program? Because, you know, people like Dee and myself, and basically everybody that's here has a concern, and we've been wanting to do stuff, but we've always been pushed back and held off. And we're ready.
And we are too, we're going through some things, we have a list, we're trying to get Amber set in and understand her thought process and our thought process, but it's in the making, and, we are closer. She's active, drafting some things herself, and, the attorney or Jessica, either one may want to add to the first question you asked me, or this one, that may know more about it than I do, but it's a joint effort, both of those things, and they are making small, successful steps, I would
Okay.
say that.
Well, and small steps are good because they add up to big steps later, but I do know that we have, you know, we all have had frustration feeling that it's been inch by inch instead of step by step. But again, trying to remain positive, you know, we are willing to help. I just have a question about like transparency and, what was I gonna say? It went right out of my head. Well, I'll get back to that in a second, but I also, when I mentioned, educating the public, is there any budget item that we can use for basically advertising? Because I went and kind of got this little sign created about spay and neuter, and my idea was just personally to get the little signs that look like, the political signs, thank you, the yard signs, and just kind of have people put them up. I realized when I asked a local business, they wanted a whole lot of money for just one sign. I haven't checked the prices online, but is this something that we can do? And then we could start out with a spay and neuter message, and once we get some of that distributed and just get the idea seen, then we can move on to untethering and, you know, other things, being cautious and how to avoid bites and just all the different topics that the public needs to be educated on. So that would be one thing that we could do fairly quickly. And then, the other thing that I was hoping could be done, and I think I've asked a couple of times, and this goes back to the transparency I started to say, see, I knew I'd come around to it. If we could possibly get, now that we're full staffed, have something on our website that shows who each staff member is, what their role is, and then some kind of a little, fun fact, or, that they have dogs of their own, or that they've had this experience running rescue, or that they, whatever it is. Back when it was under Mr. Winstead and the sheriff's department, there was that kind of thing, and it was nice to see, because then you kind of can put a face to a name, and it starts giving you that feeling that things are not being hidden and closed behind doors. And I think a lot of us have trust issues, and I think that's an easy step, low-hanging fruit if you wanna call it, that can be done without any cost really, and, it's a step forward that people see. So, is that something that you think we could do? Yeah,
That's kind of a terrifying proposition.
Yes.
That makes them hard.
Yes, I
There's
agree.
that, I would
That's a
think that was
smart
probably a terrible idea, especially because this is a very emotional thing, and you put these faces and these names of these people out here, somebody doesn't like what an animal control officer does. You're saying, here's what they look like, here they are,
This is what they do.
yeah,
In the world
that's.
of today, I don't think that's safe for the.
I don't think
Well-
I think that's a true safety issue for personnel, for somebody that works at the shelter.
I understand your point, but I would like to sort of give you a counterpoint. In today's technology age, that information can be found out.
It can, but that
And-
means somebody's got to be technologically literate.
I understand, but let me finish, please.
90%.
The information can be found out. Now, I'm not saying that you post their social security number, their phone number, and their address. I'm just saying, put a little blurb. They do it at 90% of the vet's offices that I've seen online. It's done all over the place. And I just think it would be a
And
quick
the vet
step.
office is different from a shelter.
Yeah,
You
that's
got a lot of
very
people angry at the
different
shelter
thing.
right now for things, and you put their face out there, you make them a target, look at this, what's going on in the world today. You're making those poor people a target for what they do. Being a vet's office is totally different.
Well, I know what
So
you're saying, but I'm
don't
sorry,
think you should do that.
I just disagree,
I
because
think
we've
if
gotta
I were
start
an animal
somewhere.
control officer and they tried to put my face and my name on that, I would be very upset. People
Yes, I
get
would too.
very angry at animal control officers.
Yeah.
They don't need to know what I look like, where I live, where they can come hunt me down and threaten me, because that's what a lot of people who are,
Oh, good people.
so I don't think that should be done.
I'm an AC officer and I've been called to your house. I'm coming to your house, okay, first off, I wanna know what your name is, why are you here, and so forth. You're already gonna be targeted as soon as you walk in somebody's yard, cause I've done that to Leslie.
It's different than putting somebody's face out in public, it's a safety issue with me, and I don't think that should be done.
Leslie actually pulled up in my yard because my stupid next door neighbor called the, AC on me for no good reason. But when he went to open that door, yes, I did. I pushed it back shut and I said, no, sir, this is private property. You will tell me why you're here, what your name is, number one. And I said, I know the stupid ass next door called you, but I want to know why. He said, well, I need to know, do you have your rabies certificates, all your dogs, this, and this? Yes, sir. I went in the house and you stand right here. Don't get out of your vehicle. I went in the house and I pulled out, and I still have these. There are 5 binders, this big, with every single dog that I have ever taken off the streets.
That's you, and then what does that have to do, that's you, I don't think putting somebody's,
But my thing was, when Wesley pulled in my yard on his truck, when he went to open the door, I pushed it back shut. I could have easily pulled a gun out and said, look.
and you wanna put these pictures, faces out there after that?
If they're in a
I
truck, I
think-
would think that would be a fish.
I think the idea is that we're trying to change people's perceptions. We're trying to make the shelter a community
And then
resource.
when
We're trying to
somebody
make the
doesn't agree,
shelter
or you're
a
an
place
animal killer.
where people can come and get help, where people can come as a resource.
So when they have to put an animal down, they're gonna look up at those people's pictures, and they're gonna be upset with them, somebody is gonna hunt them down and
It
harass
doesn't
them, it's
say-
going on all
it
over the
doesn't-
news of the world
It
today.
doesn't say so-and-so is certified to euthanize, I'm just saying.
I still think it's a
Amber,
bad idea, you've heard my.
here's Amber's picture, she just came to us, we welcome her for such and such. Her job is to blank, please, please reach out to her if you need assistance, or if you're a rescue that's wanting to partner with us. You know, we need to have something out there that presents a positive image and that starts to change the cultural norm that we've always done it this way, because it looks like it's a secret thing behind closed doors and that there's something wrong.
I know
Ms.
we
Bucket,
have.
we'll take that under advisement.
Thank you, sir.
So, has anybody else got any comments from the floor?
I have a question.
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
I see that sign that you said needs to be? Okay, and you think putting those out around, people
I'm
want to have
just-
their dogs, cats spayed and neutered?
I'm just saying that there needs to be a comprehensive public education campaign, and it has to start somewhere. So, an easy and cheap way to start is to put up signs. It's like,
Well, you have
it's
to
like
have
commercials
right
that come
now-
on every 5 minutes. You see it, you see it, you see it, you finally start to
Right
get it.
now, there is no spay and neuter. And so I think there's no resources to direct people to. So
That's
I
not what I'm
think-
doing. I'm trying to get the
Right,
idea.
but, okay, so I get calls every single day of the week. I've got 15 cats, I've got 10 dogs, 10. I need to get them fixed. Can you fix them? No, not unless you're in Franklin County, we only operate in Franklin. Where can I go? Safe Haven just shut down their spay neuter clinic. Saving Lives does not have a vet, their spay neuter clinic is shut down. Right now, in this area, 5 County is it, and Safe Haven canceled over
Mr.
1,000. Yes.
Right on 96.
Yes,
Yes.
5, Safe Haven canceled over 1,000 appointments. So, I agree, we need to educate people, but we need to, when they ask you, well, where can I take my pet? Right now, I am having to say to these people, I don't know. I don't have anything to offer you. I can't tell you where to take them. There's spay neuter clinics on the coast, there's spay neuter clinics in central North Carolina, but in the Triangle area, there is nothing. So you frustrate people. You frustrate people because we keep saying, do this, do this, do this, and then we offer them nothing. They get frustrated because they can't access these services. So, I think we have to be really, I agree with you, we absolutely need to educate these people, and every animal needs to be fixed. There's just really, that's the case. But you gotta be careful with public education. My thing has always been about public education is you have to start in the schools.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Can I just
I was a
ask?
teacher for 35 years. This is what I did. I taught in prison. That's what I did. I taught lessons against dog fighting, with the dog fighters. And I made a difference, but, these are things that are so big, I don't know that they're appropriate for this board, because I think our job is to look at what's going on in this shelter and what we can do to make this shelter better and more effective. If it gets too broad, we just spin our wheels. We can't address, this is not a political group here. This is about, can we help, Jerry get some better policies that, save more animals, that get more animals out the door, that make the shelter a friendlier place? Is it more effective? But I think if we get too big, we get too broad on what we're trying to do, we lose our focus. Well, we're getting way out of hand here on what, so many of these things are state and county, and, some of it just needs to go to the commissioners, and I really believe that it's not enough to present, say, this is what this state did, and this is what this county did, and this is a good idea, but here, come with, this is how you can do it. Not
It's
just
all over
somebody
the
else
place.
did it, but here's step A.
We have given it to.
Well, no, I'm not saying don't give it. You're talking about the group. Okay, Unchained Coalition. They did this for years. The Unchained Coalition operated out of Durham. And they did. They were the first group to do it. And they didn't talk about it, they just did it. And that's what I think a lot has to happen, instead of saying, well, somebody needs to do this.
Well, I'm trying to be somebody.
Well, then,
I made a sign, I'm asking
And
for
I think it's
assistance,
fine to
and you're
put it out
telling me
there.
it's too broad, it's gonna frustrate people.
Well,
I mean, I
okay,
can't
so
win
let's say
if I'm
that-
trying to help and nobody wants to help.
Let's get this clear a little more soon.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to be positive, but.
Can I just throw in a suggestion now?
And
Please,
bring people in.
please.
Okay.
Where do you send these people to get this spay and neuter?
Where do you send them now when they
I
ask?
tell them honestly, if
You don't know.
we can't do it, if we can't tee an arm, I tell them, I am so sorry, I don't know what to suggest to you.
Well, I mean, until we
I
get a
have to do it.
facility, are we gonna wait 10 years until we have a Franklin County spay neuter facility before we advertise that you should spay and neuter your pets?
I'm just saying, I agree with you. Every animal should be spayed. I'm just telling you the reality of the situation is right now.
I understand.
There is no resources, and with the way things are heading now, like Safe Haven's gonna have a problem, you know, it's, you gotta get a vet. That's why Saving Lives is shut down. It's because they cannot hire a vet. to
Well,
do
I
that.
just feel like a lot of ideas have been overlooked. You're talking about not having enough vets. Has anybody contacted the NC State Vet School
Oh,
to have a program in Franklin where students come, earn credits for some of their work and help the situation? Has anybody contacted the vet tech program at Nash County and asked, can we do a vet tech program in Franklin County at Vance Granville Community College? Has anybody done any kind of networking to try to apply for more grant money for spay and neuter? Maybe we can get enough grant money to have a mobile unit that comes. I'm saying every time something is offered, it gets shot down. I'm trying to be somebody.
well, you
We
know.
all want to be somebody, but
Talk
you
to
have
the-
to start
talk to
somewhere
the
and you
Perfect
have to
Pets
make
program
small
today.
steps.
Talk to the Perfect Pets program. Right now, all they offer is through rescues. They'll do shelters, but they're not gonna do individuals. So you can start with the Perfect Pets program. Nash County, their vet tech program operates with the shelters in Nash County. Are they big enough and have enough bandwidth to go into Franklin County? I don't know. You're talking about Vance Granville. They currently do not have a vet
Right.
tech program. Okay, that is a statewide decision that there is nobody in this room that can approach the community college system and say, you really need a vet
Why
tech
not?
program. Well, because you understand how the community college, those programs, I have a friend who's an auditor for the community college of North Carolina. Those programs are allocated literally based on any number of factors, and they would probably not put one at Vance Granville because there's one at Nash. Those are too close together. It's like they don't put a cosmetology unit at Wake when they put it at Johnston County. Wake lost theirs. These are things that, I agree with you, it would be wonderful, but you need to do some research and find out, okay, how do we do those things? How do we get those programs? There are some programs out there, and but, I mean, I've been doing this for 35 years, and I have a lot of contacts across the state, a lot of different areas. And I also hear it, and, every day. So, right now, we're facing a crisis of spay and neuter.
Right.
And you can't, what do you do? I mean, Dr. Pomerantz can probably tell us, just because we've got my thing has always been, we have a major university here that does very little for the community that it's housed in. It doesn't, there are programs all over the nation that are available to their community with low-cost clinics and low-cost spay-neuter. And I have long been critical of state because they don't offer those things. They don't have clinics that, the average person can access. You look at the University of Florida at Gainesville, they have a huge community program. Dr. Levy used to be over here at State. She left and went down there. She's the one that started Operation Cat. So,
Excuse me, we're gonna get to the board up here.
right, so just know.
This young lady right here, state your name, she's been very patient.
My name's Jolene Popescu. I'm with Hope's Animal Kingdom Cat Rescue. One of my suggestions, it goes back to education is key. I was wondering if you guys were still going to be doing the Touch the Truck program. It was probably 2 years ago, the last time I saw y'all out. But it was where an animal control officer would go out to a county, one of the county events, and just educate the public, educate the children, let them see the truck and what they do, sort of thing. Just wondering if that's still around and still a possibility. Just because I have 2 elementary age kids who are very involved in rescue with me, and they like to help and spread education as well to their friends. So
That is possible. And since I've been there, we did participate in one of the school's events that was actually, like you said, surrounded by trucks, fire trucks, funeral
Yeah.
trucks, garbage trucks, animal services trucks there. And Will Dofer got that going right as I went in, and we did do that, and we got a lot of positive comments from it. And now that we are fully staffed, that is some of the things that we're going to try to do more. And some of y'all are aware of the trailer that EMS has for disasters that we can use for other events. We're in the process of getting that revamped and refurbished so it will look presentable. So there are a lot of things behind the scenes coming together, so when we get it right, we'll have the staff, we'll have the program, we'll have the organization, we'll have the volunteers. So, we're trying to get the nuts and bolts of that we will need, that takes money to fix up. Already got approval from EMS to use the trailer for those type of events. We've actually got a vendor that is here in the county now that, we're in the process of trying to get some pricing on. That's a joint deal with several departments and getting support from the commissioners and the county manager. So we're working towards that, yes.
that'd be cool. I look forward to it.
Jerry, I just have one comment, and I'm not, no disrespect intended whatsoever, but when you said behind the scenes, I think that's part of the problem, and I think that not only do we need education as far as animal welfare, but I think we need education as far as, hey, we're here, we have a shelter, we know we've had issues in the past, we acknowledge that, but please check back with us, we are working to, create a program for volunteers, and we're working to get a spay and neuter program. I mean, just the advertisement alone, it's kind of like people, if they have a bad experience at, say, a restaurant, they're gonna go out and badmouth the restaurant, don't eat there, this is what happened to me. But then the restaurant changes hands, and somebody goes back, and they see a totally different picture. Well, that restaurant has probably advertised under new management. It's a positive, trying to change the county vibe, trying to get the information out and make it as positive as possible, and not have it be behind the scenes and where it's secret. So that's just a suggestion.
And I take that, very well, and, probably a poor choice of words to say behind the scenes, but the things we have to do that we try to make work ourselves, and, we do have a small amount of advertising budget, allowed, but it's small. We're working, we're in budget season to get a lot of those things done. And we're working towards that, but, the money and stuff allocated, I don't allocate it, I ask for it.
Right, I get it.
But I'm trying to get as much as I can for the Franklin County Animal Services with the allocation that we have. And I think if I do that, and I see so many strides here today that we're working together instead of trying to talk and badmouth each other. That's the step it's gonna take to get all the players known, and I see that coming on your side, and we're trying to do it on our side. Rules and regulations are really, really strict for things that we can do with personnel, finances, and, making sure that we get the right bid process or something, instead of somebody getting too much information. So we're trying to work within the rules and regulations, but to get a product that people will really, really appreciate, and it will be fair, and it will be got the right way. And I will continue to do that. And there is, we're getting close to the new fiscal year, and I can assure you, every cent of money that's left in that advertising budget will be spent for educational type things that we may put it in the school, but it will make people aware of Franklin County Animal Services and the projection that we're headed to.
Okay.
Thank you, Gary. We already got into the comments from the board. Any other board members have any comments?
I have a question. Jerry, do you have any, updates on the, conference that was attended, the Carolinas Unite Animal Welfare Professionals Conference that 2 staff members attended?
I have seen and heard them mention some things, but so far as putting a program together, presenting to our other staff, that's still in the process. But I have had several one-on-one comments about things that they saw and noticed, some better than ours, some worse than ours, but they are compiling a training process along with, some other things that we're trying to implement that will actually come from what they learned at that training center.
We got any other business? We have a motion to adjourn. Motion made, second. Second. All in favor?